life in my hometown.
Hello, my name is Tara Hodgson, and this is Treaty 10 News. Here I am with Laliberte, and we are in Lalacrosse today, talking about self-government.
Awesome.
So I'm going to be interviewing today, and I have a few questions here. And my first one is, what was your intention joining the Parliament?
Oh boy. Being a member of Parliament, I went searching for a relationship between the Indigenous people and our Crown, our government that we call the Canadian Crown. And that started because of the Ochre crisis. The Ochre crisis was a dispute over land. And if you look at self-government is a land-based issue. You have to govern within a land perspective. So when I went to Ottawa, in searching for the relationship, our relationship is on treaties. Here we are in Treaty 10 territory. This is Lalacrosse. This is where Treaty 10 was signed, just by Bouvieville over there, by the old hospital. And also Métis script was issued here. So if you study the issue of the Métis, the Dene, and the Cree, I think Treaty 10 is a very good, background to know what we want to do with self-government. Because in recent developments, the United Nations has given us an umbrella of rights for Indigenous people throughout the world. And so in recognizing our Indigenous rights, I think we have an opportunity to create a country that's stronger, that we call Canada, based on a foundation of treaties, but also to be proud of our Métis heritage and protect our languages, our Michif and our Cree and Dene languages up north. But Treaty 10 is a good place because so far it's unsettled. A lot of people have not settled up here. So we have an opportunity to make land claims. There's a Northwest Métis land claim that's going to be impacting us. But in going to Ottawa, I became a member of Parliament in, 4 tries. My first try was in 1993, and I ran as an independent. And it was the Prince Albert riding. Beauval wasn't in that riding at the time. They used to split Prince Albert and the northeast side, and then North Battleford had the northwest side. So I ran in the Prince Albert riding. I lost in 93. But in 1997, the boundaries changed. So the whole north was united as one jurisdiction called Churchill River. And I became the first member of Parliament of Churchill River. So in representing Ottawa, I was representing the whole northern half of the province. And one of the issues that I wanted to be recognized in Canada was called the Mid-Canada region. So in Ottawa, I tried to convince the Prime Minister. There's Jean Chrétien was the Prime Minister at the time, and Paul Martin was the new Prime Minister coming in. So I tried to lobby both of them to work on a Mid-Canada policy. And you'll see it developing now. It's called a Northern Corridor. It's very industry-led. But my vision was to have capacity building, that we govern ourselves in the north as a regional government. We build our highways, we build our schools, our hospitals. We should be governing it all ourselves. And that was the challenge. So in Ottawa, it was because of the politics, I switched from the NDP party to the Liberal Party. Trying to change policy. Mid-Canada was included, but also the Aboriginal House. I was part of the Royal Commission. Because of the Ochre crisis, the Royal Commission came to be in Canada, the Royal Commission on Aboriginal People. And in the Royal Commission, it recommended the structures change. So you're supposed to create, by recommendation in the Royal Commission, was the House of Commons and the Senate are the two houses in Parliament. They wanted to create a third house called an Aboriginal House. And that's how we govern together, all of us governing together as one country. So that vision really attracted me, and to me, I think the building, it's called a stone teepee, I call it. Just much like it's teepee that's held up with the teepee poles. It's called a parliamentary library. So if you go to Ottawa, look for the parliamentary library, you'll find this beautiful building held up by stone buttresses that are all on the outside, and it's wide open on the inside. That should be our Aboriginal house. That's where our Métis representatives, our Cree, Dene, Haida, Mohawk, Mi'kmaq, Ojibwe, all the nations should send their representatives in that house, and we help govern the country, the whole country, not just on reserve or just in our Métis communities. We embrace the whole nation that we call Canada. So Parliament was an adventure. Unfinished business. The other thing I tried to do was change the motto of Canada.
Yeah.
The motto of Canada right now is from sea to shining sea. It's like telling Canada, this is you in the middle. Well, I tried to define what was in the middle. And I said, it's a nation of rivers and a river of nations. So the nation of rivers is our foundation of treaties. All the treaties are on river basins. Treaty 10 is Churchill River Basin. Treaty 6 is the Saskatchewan River Basin. Treaty 7, Treaty 8, all have different river basins. So this patchwork of river basins makes up the treaty boundaries. And that foundation of treaties is what we call Canada. So we have a big responsibility. As a member of Parliament, I tried to do as much as I could, but you, the young generation coming up, I'm just trying to prepare you that there's a lot of rights now that were recognized. The United Nations is recognizing our rights. Then Canada with the Truth and Reconciliation initiative. And then right now the Métis governance are being debated in Parliament with Bill C-53. So all this is relevant to us, our communities. And being in Alacross here, I was born in Alacross at the hospital here. Plus my finger, I was telling you about my finger, got cut off when I was 3 years old. It cut it right off. But the doctor here in 1961 sewed my finger back up, and I still have a usable finger. So medicine is very important. So people that are looking for careers, medicine here, you know, we need to take care of our people.
Yep. And one more question I have to ask is, what are your contributions to the Parliament?
Well, I kept the languages alive in Parliament. So kind of spoonie here on. Ni mamihsen gani here at the man nipmatsu and georgi naga mahumaga nagtime with the mat now. But it was an honor to speak for our people, but I always had to use the language to express myself. You'll see a lot of my debates will be in English, but I'll always open up in Cree because your heart has to open up. The other contribution is the mapping. We were significant in mapping the north to make sure that the Mid-Canada debate was available. But the northern half of the province of Saskatchewan, it used to be Northwest Territories, and it was taken over by the province of Saskatchewan. So it's unorganized up here, and we were in 1980 when I was just finishing high school. We were talking about a regional government. We were going to govern ourselves in the north, take care of our own highways. There was a department called Department of Northern Saskatchewan. That's where all the water and sewer lines, the gymnasiums, the arenas, the airports, all that was being built as part of our capacity building. And we thought we'd go beyond and govern ourselves eventually, but no, politics plays a role. So, but if you have patience and we play our cards right and we plan, I think we have to take care of our own paradise. This is our responsibility up here.
I like that. So another question is there any form of self-government in the community of Beauval?
Well, there's different ways of looking at self-government. We were given the opportunity to govern ourselves under a municipal government, like Alacross is the northern village of Alacross, Beauval is the northern village of Beauval, northern settlements. It became because of the Northern Municipalities Act. So we became little villages and little hamlets, and we collect taxes and we take care of water and sewer, garbage pickup, all those responsibilities. So there's a level of self governance there under the municipal structure. But under the Métis structure and under the Indigenous structure, that's undeveloped. That's why I mentioned Bill C-53. We have to design how we want to govern ourselves. But we have to have a land base. So we can't govern ourselves unless we have a land base. And, you know, the question is it the fur block? Is it the municipal boundary? Is it your home boundary? Is it your trapper's camp, your fishing camp? Well, all this, like Alacross, is all traditional lands of the Métis, the Cree, and the Dene. So we have to come together with our own plans. So I think the Dene, the Cree, the Métis, we need to reconcile and have our own treaty as well. So we know how to govern and how to live amongst each other without stepping on everybody's issues, so to speak.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, let's see, one more question. Since leaving high school, what kind of work experience have you had?
Well, out of high school, Beauval didn't have a high school, so I had to leave my community of Beauval. I went to high school in North Battleford.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was taking driver ed in my days in grade 10, grade 11, I said, I want to be a driver instructor. So I told my classmates, I want to be a driver instructor someday. Sure enough, 3 years later, after leaving high school, I became a driver instructor up in Uranium City. I taught classes here in Alacrosse, La Loche, Jans Bay, moved south to Spiritwood, Canwood. These are little communities that I got to teach driver ed.
Yeah.
But leaving high school, I became a carpenter. So I knew how to build houses. I learned from the DNS housing program. I got to work with my dad. I got to work with some uncles. And it was a great experience to be a tradesman, to be a carpenter. And you never lose those skills.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was a student supervisor at a residential school in Beauval. Before the latter years of the residential school, the tribal council took control of it. And I had an opportunity to be a student supervisor there, to take care of the cultural and all the needs of the students that lived at the residential school. The other opportunity I had was to work as a carpenter up in Clough Lake when it was being built, the original Clough Lake mine, and also moved into Key Lake and became a surveyor. So I learned how to be a surveyor, worked at the engineering department. And then politics came. So that's where I became a trustee, school trustee of Northern Lights. I was a trustee for 12 years. I was a local government. I became a local councillor at the village of Beauval for 3 years. And then the member of parliament for 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
And after the member of parliament, I guess the highlight was being a hydro station operator at Sask Power in Sandy Bay.
I remember that.
And then making power, making energy, So you're constantly learning. And my latest adventure is video journalism with Treaty 10 News, working CIPI radio. And also still an opportunity, I guess, politics. I'm a recovering politician, so to speak, but always looking at politics and the pulse of what's happening in our communities.
And I guess you're my driver instructor too. Let's see. What are the main issues in self-government Indigenous peoples face today?
The coming together. You got to stand in two worlds. You got to stand in the Crown world, and you got to stand in the Indigenous world. So you have to balance that like we're a hybrid. You got to create a hybrid government.
Yeah.
Back in the day, people hunted. People, there was a governance or council for buffalo hunt or counseling for moose hunting. People had plans with their families and extended families. So the community of Alacrosse here is related to people in Buffalo, people in Dillon, people in Pachinak, people in Beauval. So the highway system is there. So I think it's just a matter of time for us to come together and reconcile what we need to do. I think that's an opportunity that we can't miss. This is an opportunity that you, the young generation, we got to teach you the way to make the right decisions, but the world has changed with our rights, and we just can't squander them. We got to respect it.
I like that. So that wraps it up with my questions. That was my last one.
Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is Rick Laliberte and Tara Hodson at Alacrosse, Sagatawakuta, on the banks of the Alacrosse Lake. But this is Treaty 10 News coming to you.
Thank you.
Life in my hometown. My hometown. Life in my hometown. My hometown.
Me and Rick Liberty are here in Saskatchewan. I'll just say hi, Lacrosse.
Yeah.
Okay.